One of the ways that the Episcopal Church raised money back in those days was to rent out the pew. And the pew rental then covered the costs of the church's operation for the year. And pews were priced based on seating. In other words, there were desirable pew locations. There were undesirable pew locations. There had to be free pews for the poor people to sit, but you needed to rent your pews. In the original church, the most valuable pew was near the grate in the floor, because the church had wood stoves. The heat would rise. They didn't have a formal blower system like you would have today. The heat would rise. So in the winter, you would have a nice warm pew area for that. That was the most expensive pew. And then generally, front and middle were priced higher than others, but there always had to be free pews. In the original St. Paul's, and even in this building, the side aisles were always free. Okay. But the rule is that if you were not in your pew when the service started, anybody could sit in it. So I've always had this vision in my mind as the procession entering church, and then people trying to get into the better pews because the people hadn't come to church on Sunday. The other thing wasn't in the original church, but in this church, if you were to examine our pew structure, they are uneven. And that is, some were for a larger family, some were for a couple. They're all different sizes throughout the building. And that was to accommodate that. That pew system lasted till 1940. And that's when they went to the annual give or pledge, as we call it. But there was a committee how to collect for the pews. Some people would sign up for it and then not be able to pay. And there was a secondary market in pews. John Smith decided to move to Wauwatosa and was going to but he had paid his annual dues for the pew. So he would sell the rights to that to someone else at a discounted price. Well, then the vestry got upset about that because they were discounting the price of the pews, and they didn't want that to go on. So it was a constant struggle to collect and then work out a system that ensured that people who couldn't afford a pew could still have a place to sit. It was a lot of energy went into collecting money.
Pew dues.